Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining our webinar today. My name is Nathan, and I'm the coordinator manager for Hanguk. And I'm joined today by Yasti, who is one of our student coordinators, and she will be monitoring the chat and the Q&A section during the webinar. So feel free to leave your questions and comments in the chat, and we'll be sure to get back to you as quickly as possible. Otherwise, we will have some time at the end of the webinar also for Q&A and more comments and questions. So if you'd like to hold your questions to the end, that also is perfectly fine. And we'll get started very shortly here. Give another minute or so for people to join, and then we'll jump right into the webinar. Okay, everyone, thank you again for joining us. We will get started with the webinar now. And again, my name is Nathan, and I will be presenting the webinar today. And Yasti will be monitoring the chat and the Q&A section. So again, feel free to leave your questions and comments as we go through the slides. And if you do have any other questions at the end, we will have time for more Q&A then. So here we go. So for those of you that don't know, Hanguk and also our parent company, Google World, was created by students, for students. Our CEO originally was a language student in Japan and started our first brand, Gogo Nihon, in 2009. And then Gogo Hanguk for studying in Korea was started in 2016. And many of us have had the experience of studying abroad for language or otherwise, so we can know exactly what you need to prepare and also what you're going through as you're starting your new journey in a new country with a new language. And for Google Hanguk, we support you at every stage throughout the process, as you can see here, from applying to language school, to finding accommodations, to helping you with your visa, and of course, once you get here, living and studying in Korea. And many of you tell us various reasons that you'd like to study Korean or get to know Korean culture better. And we can help you kind of explore the options you have after Korean language school once you finish studying and what you can do with your newfound Korean knowledge afterwards. With Gogo Hanguk, you're able to study in a variety of ways, and today we'll go over those different ways we can help you study Korean. And here they are outlined. The first one will be with Korean language school, and this is our main service that we help people with. And then we'll also touch on our other services here, as you can see, the visiting program, our study trips, as well as our online options, our online courses, and our app called Hangul Quest. So as I mentioned, the first one is Korean language school. And for Korean language school, it's designed to be an intensive and immersive program to where you can learn a lot of Korean language in an efficient amount of time. And if you're not familiar with the format of Korean language school, I've outlined the different points here. So first of all, you'll be in class for 4 hours per day, Monday through Friday, and you can start in the morning or afternoon. In terms of the time, it can depend on the school as well as your skill level. And don't worry if you already know some Korean. You can take a placement test to make sure that you're placed in the correct level for your ability. And as I mentioned, it's Monday through Friday, 5 days a week per term. And since it is a intensive and immersive program, you are expected to study outside of class as well and do homework. There are 4 main times you can start. These are March, June, September, and December. And with the student visa that you can get sponsored, you can study up to 2 years. So this would be 8 total terms since there are 4 terms during the year. And currently we have partner schools in 3 different cities, in Seoul, Busan, and Daegu. And we're always looking to find more partner schools for you to give you more options for your studies. So please continue to check our website to check out all our different partner schools as well as their individual characteristics. Since Korean Language School is our main service and also the one that most of you have the most questions about, I'd like to go over the general application timeline for this. This is the application timeline if you wish to study long-term with the D41 visa sponsorship. The D41 visa is the sponsored visa for Korean language study. And as you can see here, this means that you would need to study for 6 months or more, and this would be 2 terms or more. So for example, if you wanted to study during March and June or June, September, or even longer than that. So up to 3 months before you'd like to start studying, we recommend you look at our partner schools and research your different options. You can contact us with any questions. We're happy to answer any questions you have. You can give us as many and all questions you have about not only studying at our partner schools, but maybe your life in Korea, what that would look like. And also, as you prepare your application documents, you'll need to pay an application fee. Just so you know, Google Hanguk does not charge any extra fees on top of what the school charges. To use our service is completely free. The fees you see here, such as the application and tuition fee, those are the ones that are charged by the schools anyway. So you get the advantage of using our service completely for free as we walk you through the process and help you apply to language school. So as you gather your documents, again, feel free to ask us any questions about the documents, what you need to prepare, or if your documents would be accepted by the school. The great advantage with us is that we can check your documents and kind of screen them beforehand to make sure that the schools will accept your documents before you actually submit them. And then once all your application documents are complete, you'll get invoiced for the tuition fee. Again, this is the tuition fee that's charged by the school. Google Hanguk does not charge any additional commission or any type of agency fee. After paying your tuition, you'll receive what's called a certificate of admission from the school. This is an official document that says that you are admitted to the Korean language school program and that you can apply for the visa. The certificate of admission is the official document that the Korean embassy or consulate will need from you for your visa application. After that, many of you will book your flight and, of course, apply for your visa. If you need help determining the best time to fly into Korea or depart Korea, just let us know. We recommend that you arrive about 1 to 2 weeks before you start your studies. And then in terms of your departure date, that'll kind of depend on your visa period. But many of you will want to leave pretty soon afterwards since the visa period is only good while you study. So the period of stay may end quite shortly after you finish your terms. And then about 1 month before you start, we can help you book accommodations if you need assistance with that. Many of you decide to find your own accommodations, which is perfectly fine. Otherwise, if you need extra assistance with finding accommodations, we can help you with that. And I'll touch on the different types of accommodations we can help with later on in the presentation. We can also assist you with things like a SIM card or airport transfer, as well as what you need to pack for Korea. Since you will be coming to a new country with a new language for many months, or some of you even years, many of you have questions about what to pack. So we do have a suggested packing list for you that kind of outlines what you need to bring with you to Korea for your studies. And then once you arrive in Korea, of course, we can help you get settled in. If you have questions about immigration or starting your studies at language school, again, we're more than happy to answer those questions. And after that, you're in Korea and you're ready to start your studies. For the second way you can study with Gogo Hanguk, we'll talk about the visiting program. And the visiting program is for current undergraduate students, the university level, that want to have a temporary study abroad period at one of our partner schools. So we'll jump right into that. Here's more information about the visiting program. Currently, the visiting program is hosted by Hanyang University. Hopefully in the future, we'll have more universities that will have a similar program that we can offer to you. With the visiting program, you can study up to 1 academic year. So that would be 2 academic semesters, for example, the spring and the fall. Hanyang offers courses that are taught in both English and Korean, and they have over 1,000 courses that are taught in English. The actual offerings may vary depending on your semester you start. So we do have a link that we can give you to the course catalog so you can check which courses are offered and when, as well as if they're taught in English or Korean. Since you'll be studying university undergraduate courses, you do get the transcript for the courses you take, and therefore you could get credit at your home university, depending on what equivalency they have, as well as what requirements they have for credit. So if you do have questions about what credit you can take or you can receive for the courses you take, then please ask your home university first, whatever their requirements may be. And then, Hanyang will provide the transcript to you for the courses. The great thing about the visiting program is that there's no grade point average or language proficiency required. You don't have to provide any sort of Korean language test or English test, and your GPA doesn't matter either. So you can be a stellar student, or maybe you can be a not so stellar student. It doesn't really matter. You can still take advantage of this program. And as I mentioned, you can start in the spring or the fall, and this would be the March or September semester intake. For the visiting program, the application period is quite far in advance, so I recommend you contact us as soon as possible if you'd like to start, for example, during the March or September term. For example, right now we're in the middle of the March 2026 application period for the visiting program, and it only runs until the end of November. And then for the September semester, the application period is from April to May. So it's quite far in advance. So please contact us if you'd like more information about the visiting program, and we'll be sure to help you out with that. The next method we will discuss are the study trips we have. And so the study trips are currently 2 to 3 weeks long. For now, the 2026 trips are all 3 weeks long. If we add any others that are for a shorter period, we'll be sure to let you know on our social media and our website. And the great thing about the study trips is if you don't have a lot of time to enjoy Korea, they're kind of an all-inclusive package. It includes your Korean language lessons, your accommodations, as well as activities. We average 3 to 4 activities per week here in Korea, and we offer different packages for those activities. So if you'd like one with a lot of activities, that's fine. If you'd like one where you have more free time and would like not so many activities, then that's also great, because we have a package for you there. And we will provide an activity coordinator for your whole time in Korea that will be with you, chaperoning you during the activities. And you can also ask them questions about living and studying in Korea. we get participants from all over the world, and you'll get to meet friends from many different countries, not only in language school, but within your study trip group. And currently we have trips during the spring, summer, and fall. Currently we're in the super early bird period for the 2026 fall trip. So you can save some money there. The promo code is also on our website. So if you input that when you apply, you can receive a discount on your fees for the study trip. And all the study trips here listed for spring, summer, and fall are currently open for application. The one with the soonest application deadline is a spring trip, and that will be at the end of January 2026. So please be sure to apply as soon as possible to make sure you get a spot. And the last way you can study with us are through our online courses and our app called Hanguk. And I'll briefly touch on those as well. So we've developed some online courses for you, and they are pre-recorded online lessons, which you can actually do at your own pace. So once you register for the course, you can simply start the lessons, and you have access to them for 6 months. And as I said, they're a mix of videos that are pre-recorded, and we also have different things like worksheets, homework, and you do have a final exam at the end, which you can get an official certificate from the school if you do pass the final exam. This official certificate will allow you to start from the next level up if you decide to study in Korea later at the school that developed the course. We are currently in partnership with 2 different schools for the online course. The screenshots you see here are from Hanyang, and then we also have one from Hanguk. So if you do pass the final exam and receive the official certificate, you can then start in the next level up if you start studying within 1 year of getting the certificate. We do have an online forum or a notice board where you can interact with other students that are in the course, and also post questions if you have them about the curriculum. So you don't have to feel so isolated and alone. You do have other people that are studying in parallel with you that you can ask questions and get feedback as well. And then we also have our app for learning the Korean alphabet called Hangul. You can see it's called Hanguk Quest, and you can easily master the Korean alphabet in a very short time. You can see here it gives various information about each character, as well as the pronunciation and stroke order, and includes many different lessons to help you learn Hangul and hopefully have it mastered by the time you finish the app lessons. And many people take advantage of this before coming to Korea to start language school, so they're completely familiar with the alphabet in advance. And you can get it on Google Play or the Apple App Store. Previously, I mentioned that you can get help with accommodations through Google Hanguk. And again, these are the different options we can help you with. I'll briefly discuss each of them, and you can find more information about them on our website. And you can also leave questions and comments in the chat, and Yasti's there to answer the chat questions as well. Just briefly, for the share house, this would be an apartment or home that you share with different residents. There could be other international residents as well as Korean residents, and they're located all over the city. Currently, we only offer share houses in Seoul. In terms of our other cities we have schools with, we're always looking for other accommodation partners. So hopefully in the future, we'll be able to offer share houses there as well. With the share house partners that we have in Seoul, you would look at the different apartments or houses and then pick a bedroom that you'd like to rent. The bedrooms could be private, or they could be shared with other residents. So just make sure to note that when you're looking at the different bedroom options. In terms of the different things like the deposit and rent, those also can vary a lot depending on the house or the apartment or the location. So please be sure to ask any questions about that, or take note of the prices once you're browsing the different options. And then for the next type, the dormitories are offered by our university language schools for Korean language students. Please note that these are very limited in number and very competitive to get. So if you'd like a dormitory, please tell us as far in advance as possible, and also be sure to make note of it in your application where needed, so the school knows that you'd like a dormitory room. The dormitories are shared rooms, normally for 2 people. Some schools have rooms with more people, or some schools also offer single occupancy rooms. However, these are normally very rare and very limited in number. So in terms of the dormitory, I would think of it as a room that you'd share with one other person and that you live on campus. So it'd be very convenient to get to language school if you live in the dormitory. And certain schools have different restrictions about how long you can stay there, or things like curfew and such. So again, if you have more questions about any accommodation type, just let us know. The third type we can assist with is called a goshewon. You may have seen this on maybe Korean dramas, or you may have heard about it online. These days, many people will live in them as an affordable way to live close to their school. Originally, they were more just for students to study and have someplace near their school to live. However, these days, many more people are living in them, even if they aren't a student, and are just using them as affordable and efficient accommodation. So we have really expanded our goshewon options over this past year or so. So we have quite a few options close to all our different partner schools. And you don't have to live next to your partner school if you don't want to. If you'd rather live in another area, that's perfectly fine. You can just let us know that you'd rather live in a different area of town with a different goshewon. You don't have to live really close to your partner school if you don't want to. And then the fourth type we can assist with is a homestay. And this would be a Korean host family that is letting you stay in their house. And for the homestay, they will either provide breakfast, or they will provide both breakfast and dinner. And you would live in one of their bedrooms in their house or apartment. And depending on the house or apartment, you may have your own bathroom, or you may share. And then you'd share things like the kitchen and the other living spaces. Many people like to do the homestay if they'd like to have further immersion with Korean language, since you would be living with a Korean host family. And the homestay families can live a little bit further away from the language school neighborhoods, just because they'd be in more residential areas. However, they would have access to public transportation. So many people that live in the homestay also take advantage of either the bus or subway system, depending on where they live. I believe there was a question earlier about part-time work in Korea, so I'll just briefly touch on that for the D41 visa Korean language students. And again, this is the visa that will be sponsored by a Korean language program if you study for 6 months or more. So if you do receive that visa and want to work part-time, your number of hours that you can work is actually limited depending on if you have an official TOEIC score or not. There are basically 2 levels if you have a TOEIC score, or if you don't. So if you don't, you can work up to 10 hours per week. And then if you do, you can work up to 20. And also it gives you another opportunity to use Korean language if you end up getting a part-time job where you have to use Korean. And you get to have an opportunity to build up your resume or CV while you're in Korea. And of course, continue to immerse yourself in Korean language and culture, as I mentioned earlier. Due to the kind of wages in Korea, as well as your limited number of working hours. Normally, students just use this to help cover their cost of living. I wouldn't consider this as a way to necessarily increase your income a lot. However, if you do end up working the 20 hours per week during a month, then it could cover your costs of living, such as your rent or maybe your utilities if you live in a share house or something like that. So some people do end up getting a part-time job. And just note that not only does immigration have some regulations about it, but also your language school. So normally you have to have a quite high attendance and good grades for them to give you permission to work part-time, since it is also a large time commitment outside of language school. Someone asked what type of part-time jobs you can get. Many people work in retail, or they'll work in restaurants or cafes, or you can also get things like office jobs are fine. There are some job restrictions, so if you have more questions about that, then please contact us and let us know what you're thinking about. But in general, most Korean language students will work in some industry, like I mentioned previously, as a part-time job. Related to that is the cost of living in Korea. This is just an example using US dollars. Of course, you can scale it to whatever your local currency may be. However, this is kind of a general budget we give for living and studying in Korea for 6 months. As you can see, just some general figures here. Many people may under budget for things like food or having fun, or things like you have some health issue, so you may need extra money for that. So you can, of course, shift the numbers around a little bit depending on what your needs are. However, this is kind of the general budget we give for a 6-month stay in Korea. Currently, the US dollar is quite strong against the Korean won, so you may be able to get away with a little bit less than this amount. However, just be sure to budget accordingly so you can afford to live and study in Korea during your study period. If you'd like to study for even longer than this, then you can, of course, scale it accordingly. This is just a brief comparison about the advantages that you can have with using Google Hanguk. For example, first one, many schools aren't very quick with updating their information on their websites. However, we're in pretty much daily contact with our partner schools, so we can give you the most up-to-date information if you see very outdated information on the school's website. And then we make sure that the application process is as simple as easy as possible, and making sure that your documents are going to be accepted by the schools. A lot of times the schools will not be able to give you as quick feedback about your documents, or you may have to submit everything at once without really knowing if your documents are going to be approved by the school. And then they may give you a bunch of feedback afterwards and say, oh, all these documents are incorrect. You need to update them. You need to get new documents. They're too old, or they're not issued in the right time period. So we make sure that all your documents are going to be approved upon your initial submission. A lot of times the schools won't always have information in a language you know. Maybe it'll only be in Korean and English, or only in Korean, Chinese, and Vietnamese, or something like that. So we support many languages now. We can help you in English and French and Spanish and Italian and French and Swedish and German, and also help you with Korean if you see something in Korean that you need help with. So I believe we can cover a lot of languages that you would be familiar with, and that we can get you information in your language and how it may apply to you specifically for your country. And as I mentioned, we try to make the application process as simple as easy as possible. So that means quick updates for you and reliable service and feedback. And again, with the schools applying directly, it may take more time. The document process may be more complicated. and they may not give you as quick and timely updates as you would like. So we try to reply to you within 1 to 3 business days. A lot of times we can get back to you within 24 hours, depending on the volume of inquiries we have. And in terms of the webinar presentation, those are all the slides we have to present. So thank you very much for your time, and thank you for joining our webinar today. Since we do have some time left, I'll just give you some quick reminders about the application process we're going through now. Currently, we're accepting applications for the March 2026 term or later. And as I mentioned previously, we are also accepting applications for all our published study trips, the spring, summer, and autumn for 2026. And for the autumn 2026 trip, there is a super early bird promotion going on right now, so you can save a couple $100 on the application. And our online course is always open for registration. You just have to register and pay the fee, and then you'll get access to the lessons. Same thing with Hangul Quest. If you download the app, you can immediately start using the app to learn Hangul. And if you have any other questions, comments, or concerns that we don't answer for you today, you can send us a contact form from our website, and we'll be sure to get back to you within 1 to 3 business days. And as I mentioned, we're normally quicker than that, so you can get all your questions answered as soon as possible. So as we still have time within the webinar here, we can continue to take questions. And I believe Yasti has been answering many of them for you as we've been going through the webinar. So let's see. In terms of getting a copy of the webinar afterwards, we do record the webinar. So if you have registered as an attendee, we'll be able to provide the link to the webinar to you afterwards. It may take a little while for us to download and then distribute the link, but we will save it and let you know accordingly. Or if you did attend the webinar and you don't hear from us within like the next week, just let us know, and we can share the webinar with you. A lot of you have been asking about the bank statements, which I believe Yasti has been answering your questions about. If you're not able to provide the balance yourself, as Yasti mentioned, you can use one from a parent or guardian. Unfortunately, you can't use like a brother or sister or cousin or something like that. It has to be you, or it has to be your parent or legal guardian. I see a question about the working holiday visa, which is the H-1 visa. The individual requirements for that can depend on your nationality, since Korea has individual working holiday agreements with many different countries. So in terms of like the age limit or what documents you may need to provide or restrictions on work or school, that can depend on your nationality. So besides contacting your local Korean embassy or consulate, you can contact us as well. We can give you like general information about the working holiday visa. Someone asked about the T-Money card. The T-Money card is the public transportation card for the Seoul area. The T-Money card only has different discounts depending on your age and not if you're a student or not. So if you're an adult, that is you're 19 years or older, then you just pay the adult rate. You can qualify for some discounts depending on like frequency of use and things like that. But in general, if you're an adult, you pay the adult rate. If you're younger than 19, then you can qualify for a junior rate. Unfortunately, it doesn't depend on your student status or not. Person asked about, can someone else pay the tuition for you? In general, the schools prefer that you pay the tuition under your name since they have to check hundreds of different payments incoming. If you do have someone else pay for you, then you need to make sure you let us know who it is, like what bank they're paying from and how they're related to you, so the school can check your payment accordingly. Because they just have hundreds of students per term, they can't just, they don't want to guess on, oh, this person is paying for that person maybe, or so you need to be very specific about who's paying your tuition if you're not going to be paying it yourself. However, as I said, it'd be better if you can pay your tuition under your name from your bank. Someone asked about opening a bank account while under the D4 visa. You can open a bank account if you'd like in Korea. Please note that you would need to wait for your your Korean residence card to open the bank account. And the Korean residence card is something that you apply for in Korea and that all long-term visa holders will have. It basically is an ID card for Korean residents that have a long-term visa. And then you can open a bank account. You could sign a mobile phone contract if you want. You can confirm your identity using your mobile phone number after that as well. In terms of assisting with opening a bank account, we can't do that just due to various privacy laws in Korea. You have to go yourself as the person opening the bank account. And you may need your passport. Depending on your nationality, you may need some other information. For example, if you're a US citizen, you're going to need to know your social security number. You may need to sign a bunch of forms, depending on, again, on your nationality and the financial sharing agreements Korea has with your home country. So just be prepared to provide the information and to sign those forms when you open the account. Yeah, for the residence card, you will have to have an address in Korea. So you're going to have that because you're going to apply for the residence card in Korea. So hopefully by that point, you have some place to stay, either with our help or by yourself. Someone asked about when do the bank statements need to be issued? Yeah, they normally need to be issued within the application period. Some schools will accept them like 1 month before you submit your application, but again, that could depend on exactly when you finish all your other documents. So if you have the bank statement issued within the application period, then that's best. And then you won't have any issue with submitting your application documents after that, since it will be within that official application period. Another question. Someone asked about if they're living outside of their passport country, do you have to go back home to apply for the student visa? Generally, no, as long as you're like a long-term legal resident of where you're living. Like, I don't know, maybe you live in Europe and you're German, but you live in the Netherlands as a official long-term resident. Then normally you don't have to. You can apply from your country of residence rather than your passport. But again, it can depend on your nationality. So I would check with your local Korean embassy or consulate regarding their rules about what nationals can apply. Let's see. If you're studying for less than 3 months, do you need to submit a bank statement? In general, no, but that can depend on your nationality. A lot of nationalities have a tourist period of 3 months or less. So if you study during then you just use your visa-free tourist period. And then you wouldn't have to submit a bank statement because you wouldn't need to get the visa sponsorship. Do bank statements need an apostle? No, generally not. Only long-term visa holders will receive a residence card and can qualify for one. So if you're studying for 3 months or less, you would not get a residence card. And can you study law? I mean, if you're a current undergrad and you want to take law courses in the visiting program, then you're welcome to do so. Otherwise, currently, we don't help with getting admission to law school. I believe Yasti has answered about extending your visa in Korea already, but yes, you can, as long as you're still under like that 2-year mark for the D41 visa. Probably going to continue the webinar for another 5 to 10 minutes. So if you have any other questions, then you can leave them in the chat. Otherwise, you're welcome to send us a contact form and we'll get back to you as soon as possible. For things like the accommodation payments, most of the time you're going to have to pay using a wire transfer for things like the share house or the homestay. For the Goshi ones, you can pay per month. And for the dormitory, you'll have to pay in advance using a wire transfer to the school. And I believe that may have answered your question about the homestay. The homestay families, their language ability may vary. Many of them do speak like basic English. However, due to them being Korean, I would expect them to have Korean as their first language. And then you can also have the opportunity to use your Korean language while you study. Some do speak other languages. Maybe they lived abroad, so they might speak, I don't know, Japanese or something else. But normally they speak, basic English, and then you can, of course, communicate with them in Korean. In terms of the tuition for the schools, you're going to have to pay in advance before you start studying in full. So if you started in September, you'd probably have to have everything paid by, depending on your school, maybe July. Yeah, the D41 visa is only valid for 2 years, like Yasti said. So after that, you'd have to find another visa, or you'd have to leave Korea and return as a tourist if you wanted to come back for just a little bit. So in terms of the due dates, as I mentioned, we're having the application period open for March 2026 right now. And then if you do want to study later than that, you can also contact us about that as well. However, the due dates for like, say, June or September or December would be much later. The application period for the March 2026 term will start from like beginning of December and go into January or February, depending on the school. And is it too late to apply for December? Depends on how long you want to study and where, but in general, most of our schools have finished the application period for December, unless you may want to study like short term at, say, Alexis Korea or LTL. So please contact us like as soon as possible if you want to study in December. If you need to send us the contact form, then please use the link that Yassi's posted, and you can start the application process that way. And someone asked about the typical age range for participants. The age range really varies. However, like probably the core demographic is from like 18 to late 20s. However, we get people of all ages applying as long as they're 18 years old or older. As I mentioned, for the online courses, we accept registration at any time. So if you'd like to start the online courses, you can simply register and pay the fee, and then you'll have access to the lessons right after that. If you'd like to start during December 2026, I would contact us during the middle of next year to start the process, in earnest. Otherwise, if you have questions right now, we're happy to answer your questions. You can send us the contact form so we can start getting your information. Is it easier to find accommodation for the March start date than the summer since Korea's school year starts in March? Since there are less people studying in the summer and winter, it can be slightly easier to find accommodations during those times. But we can definitely help you for starting during March or September, even though there are more students starting then. So I would contact us in advance to make sure that we know what you're looking for. And how do deposits work generally for accommodation? For things like the share house, you're going to have to wire that in advance. For the mini studios, we'll invoice you for that. Again, you can wire the payment. Or for things like the dormitory, again, wired to the school. For the homestay, there won't be any deposit, but you'll pay the total invoice in advance. So again, you'll wire the payment for that as well. I see a lot of people asking about specific nationalities. It can depend on a lot of factors. We can help many nationalities, but not everybody. It can just depend on how long you want to study, as well as like what school you choose and things like that. So if you can email us or send us the contact form, then we can help you more specifically. Some people may have dual citizenship as well, or hold even multiple citizenships. So that can also affect the specific rules about visas and whether we can assist you or not as an agency. So we'll take questions for just a couple more minutes here. Otherwise, again, I've been Nathan. I'm the coordinator and manager for Koko Hanguk, and I've been joined by Asti, who is one of our student coordinators. And I'll continue to answer you by talking based on your questions here. And yes, you can continue to post in the chat any replies to questions as well. Again, if you think of something later and you wish to send us a question, feel free to use our contact form on our website, and we'll be sure to get back to you as soon as possible. Someone asked about how early you can generally check into a dorm. Normally, the dormitory opens very soon before the term actually starts. So it may be as short as a week, maybe as long as 2 weeks, but a lot of schools don't open the dormitory until about a week before the term actually starts. And as I mentioned, we do help with airport transfers. So if you'd like to be picked up from the airport and taken to your accommodation or to a hotel or wherever, then just let us know. So currently we can only assist with the schools listed on our website. So if you're interested in other schools, we all are always looking for new school partners. However, currently we can only assist with the ones listed on our website. So sorry for any inconvenience there. Otherwise, if you'd like to arrange something like a video call or something like that with one of our coordinators, then please let us know through our contact form. We can give you more direct information. However, the majority of our information about our schools and our services on our website. So if you needed something more specific, then please send us the contact form. I mentioned this earlier, but there's no specific public transportation card for students. So if you're an adult, then you'll pay the adult rates. There are some other programs that allow you to get discounts, depending on your frequency of use, or maybe you're a regular commuter between two spots, so you can get a discount on that one route. But it's not based on if you're a student or not. It depends on the school if you can join their student clubs or their festivals. A lot of the clubs are for the Korean university students, as they're the majority. However, if the club is open to everybody, then of course you're welcome to join. Also note that you may need a certain level of Korean to fully participate in the club. And someone asked about, do you have vacations? Yes, you have breaks between each term, and you also have all the national public holidays in Korea. And can you visit places like Japan while having the student visa? Yes, you can. However, you need to wait until you have your Korean residence card before you leave Korea. If you leave Korea before receiving the residence card, your visa will automatically be canceled. So please remember that. And you can travel, during your study period. So for example, if you study the March and June term, you could travel between the break between the March and June term, or you could travel during the weekend or something like that. But remember to have your residence card before leaving Korea. It's very important. If we do the study trip and when we are there, can we apply in person? If you mean apply in person to like the long-term language schools, you're welcome to bring your documents with you and we can maybe check them if you have them all prepared. In terms of the application period for when the autumn course takes place, probably the soonest you'd be able to apply for is the coming December 2026 term. So we can continue to assist you with the application, but just be aware of like the application period for the school you want to attend, and make sure you do it in advance, depending on the school. If you have a remote job and you come to Korea, I recommend talking to, like, say, a tax accountant or someone familiar with those type of laws, because Korea taxes global income very similar to, say, the United States. So it can depend on like how long you've lived in Korea and your job and income. So while you may be able to continue your remote job, if you're going to be living in Korea a long time, you may owe income tax to Korea as well as your home country, depending on what their tax laws are. So also be aware of the time commitment that you're going to need to make to language school as well as your job. So if you're currently working a full-time job, and then you're going to be going to language school, and then you're going to have to do homework and study outside of class. Those hours can add up quite quickly. So just be aware of that when you're deciding to continue your job and also study abroad. So I believe we have almost reached our time here for the webinar and the question and answer session. So I'd like to thank you again for joining us. Again, I'm Nathan, and I've been joined by Asti answering your questions in the chat. We appreciate you taking the time out of your day or your evening to join us. And we normally do these webinars once in the spring and once in the fall. Otherwise, we post a lot of different information on our social media, as well as our website about upcoming deadlines and different ways you can use Koko Hanguk to help you live and study in Korea. As it says on the screen, we can accept applications for the March 2026 term or later, as well as our 2026 study trips. And you can register for our online courses or Hanguk Quest at any time to get started. We will end the webinar very shortly. So again, thank you very much for joining us. It's been a pleasure discussing our services with you and how we can help you live and study in Korea. Again, you can use our contact form anytime on our website to send us email or inquiry. We're happy to get back to you. And we will talk to you soon. Thank you very much. We'll be signing off now. Bye-bye.